should have 3 losses by now.
I don't know about that.
They are not that
For
good.
Florida State in there, I would say yes to that, what you just said.
One return by Caleb Downs, and he finds a seam. He makes the punter look silly. Caleb Downs, show him what you got. Touchdown, Bama.
5-minute drive now for UTEP. And they will keep it on the ground. Awad just gets pile-driven by Stutzman.
Really haven't even tried from the shotgun.
That throw's intercepted. Pierce down the sideline. Touchdown.
Claiborne, the sophomore, has 1 score so far this season. Griffiths will buy a little bit of time. Falling down, lost the football. Play is still live. And recovered by the Monarchs. Lamarian James will take it the other way for the ODU touchdown.
Welcome back to Devy IDP Grind. I am Hollywood Titan. I'm joined by my co-host Justice. What's going on, man?
Man, not much. Wednesday night. No football, I think, tonight. So I read somewhere that tonight is the last night without football until like November 27th or something.
Yeah, for the next 55 consecutive days, there will be a game of some type being played for the next 55 days. So it starts tomorrow, right?
Yep,
with your
starts
college,
tomorrow.
and then it's kiss your wife and kids goodbye for 2 months. You're not going to see them. But yeah, sorry we missed last week. We had some technical difficulties, and then
You had
some
some bigger fish to fry last week, buddy.
Yeah, no power for 3 days, and we really thought this was the end of the world for a few hours, but but yeah, we managed to get through fairly unscathed. But prayers and wishes go out to everybody that still having issues and no power and no food and water and all that stuff. It does suck. So
Yeah.
that's like you said, that's the first note there. 55 days. The next 55 days with football before we miss a day, some type of college or NFL or something there. That's great to see, because that means we're getting Tuesday night action back. We're getting those Wednesday and Thursday games. I really like this time of year because you can actually get to see a lot of teams that you normally wouldn't watch, right? Because typically, even counting Friday night, because nowadays they have 4 or 5 games on Friday nights, if not more. But typically you're watching your team or certain other big games, and you might miss a lot of games. I think spreading this out, like the action and on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and having Thursday games, I think it allows you to see a little bit more of teams and players you wouldn't normally get or watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't tell if I'm on a delay, so you'll have to let me know. So I know this is going to be a spirited, if that's the right word, spirited discussion on this next couple of comments. No, and I think you kind of feel maybe like I do. So I'll just get to it. So just bear with it. So UNLV quarterback Matt Sluka has announced he'll redshirt and not play the rest of the season. And his address to everyone was, "I committed to UNLV based on certain representatives that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for continued success of the program." it wasn't long after Saluka did that defensive lineman Bear Alexander did a similar thing. He announced that he would also redshirt and not play the rest of the season. And per Tony Jones, who Alexander pretty much calls his father, he's expected to stay with the team for now, per Jones. And the comment was, we made clear what our goals are. That goal is to be a full-time starter and leader on defense like we came to be. I don't even know where to go with this. This is a product of NIL now. This is what this is. You have given these kids, and it didn't start with NIL. Let me back up. It started out when McCaffrey, Fournette, Bosa, when those kids started opting out of bowl games. And I get it. It's a business decision. You know, you're fixing to get paid millions in the NFL. Personally, myself, I don't like that. If you're going to play all year, don't opt out of the bowl games. Your team. You know, you're insured. If you get hurt, you're going to be all right. So, but I do understand that part. Now, this is a whole can of worms that I don't think anybody really saw coming. And now that it's out there, I think it's going to be like the floodgates. You're going to see kids don't get the playing time that they want. Don't get the money that they want. They're just going to up and nope, I'm not playing no more. I'll see you next year. And there was a third one. I didn't get it down. I think it was Cincinnati receiver and returner. He's also said that he's not playing the rest of the year so he can keep his red shirt for the next team that he goes to because he's going to enter the transfer portal. I do not like this. Maybe it's this generation or whatever. It's not how I was raised. It's not how I would go about things. I think once you're committed, you should stay committed in a way. Now, I do understand if there's certain things, but I think Saluka, it sounds like it's a money thing, right? As to where Bear Alexander is a playing time thing. Now, Saluka, I kind of understand. You were promised something that didn't work out.
Well, I think
I think Alexander's part's just tough shit, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't like his
because you're not holding up your end of the bargain. Yeah. Yeah.
The Saluka stuff, though, like, you got to get stuff in writing. Like, if you don't have something in writing, you ain't got nothing. I mean, I don't like, I am a person that I'm going to do what I say. And like, my word is my, that's gold, but that's not the world today.
Nope.
And unfortunately, like in those kind of instances, you gotta look out for yourself, and you gotta make sure that stuff's in writing. If it ain't writing, it ain't happening. Like, that's just, I don't know. That's the way of the world today, and it sucks. But that's just how you have to do things. I will say this, right? And I said this last week before they even played a game, that I'm not so sure this was a bad thing for UNLV. Like I said,
yes.
Luke and I talked about it last week, and I felt like, hey, that like Malik Williams is going to at least be a better passer. And that might be a better thing for UNLV at the end of the day. So
right.
It certainly sucks for the Sluka family. But hopefully this can serve as a lesson to other folks. Like, you got to get it in writing. Like, if it ain't in writing, it don't mean nothing. We've heard these stories far too often where players are promised something. They get to the school and like they don't get nothing. They get nothing that was promised. And so like, you gotta make sure that stuff's in writing, because otherwise it's just not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the Bear Alexander, to me, just another red flag, right? Like, he left Georgia,
yes.
Because basically he is giving off the vibes of, I'm just chasing money, or I'm in it for me and me only. And I don't know, like, it's not a good look.
No, it's sure not. And
it's not like he's setting the world on fire when he plays. I mean,
exactly.
he does okay.
And just
He does okay, but he's not like you don't look at him and be like, oh man, he's the best D tackle in college football.
right. And just listen to the comment again. We made clear what our goals are. That goal is to be a full-time starter and leader on defense like we came to be. So
okay, well, you control that goal, Mr. Alexander.
Well, that tells me that's why he left Georgia as well, because they had so much talent and it was rotational.
It was
he
a
didn't
rotate,
want to be
yeah.
So he goes to USC thinking, okay, I'll be the big dog, and it's not happening there either. So,
yeah, but at USC, I mean, like in my opinion, if he was producing like he believes in himself,
yes,
then it wouldn't be a problem.
Exactly. That's how I feel about it. If you don't like your playing time, do better.
Now, here's a flip side of it. I don't think this is what happened, but let's think about let's give him the benefit of the doubt for a moment, and maybe he thinks he is not where he needs to be. He needs a year of training to get where he needs to be, and maybe that's why he took this year off to save this year to do that. I don't necessarily believe that's the case, but it could be, right? I mean, and then that sheds a whole different light on the subject. But the way they've talked, it doesn't sound like that's the case.
Right, very possible. And I just think the moment that Saluka did this and now Alexander, the floodgates are open. Like I said, the guy from Cincinnati's doing it too. He's already said he's saving his red shirt. He's opting out now so he can save his red shirt for when he enters the portal. So I just think if these kids, now I agree with you, if these kids, money wise, get it in writing, get it some kind of legal.
Yeah, if they sign a contract, then they have to do it. So,
right. So
you
I agree with
you
you
got to
on
get
that.
a
But the playing time thing, I think this playing time thing is going to be huge. If kids don't like, if they're in a QB battle, despite what the coaches say, and they're in a QB battle, and Quinn Ewers beats out Arch Manning, how long does it take him to get pissed off and say, "Well, I want to be a full-time starter and go somewhere else"? I think you're going to see what Alexander's doing. I think you're going to see that a ton. I think that's an out for them, and I don't know how you stop that.
Well, I have this note further down, but it falls in line with what we're talking about right now, and that's defensive end Ben Bell at Texas State. So he sat out or did not play in the game against Sam Houston. It comes out during the game that he's not there, and then I think on Monday their beat reporter sends out a tweet saying that he's not going to play. He's going to redshirt this year. And then later on, like you get some actual quotes from the coach, and what Coach Kenny said was, Ben Bell was at practice today. He wants to play. It's a week-to-week situation. Well, what does that mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, that doesn't make – he's clearly not injured, right? He's at practice, clearly not injured. So either A, like he wants more money, or they're not making good on their contract, or I don't know, it's just something very weird with that situation, right? Like he's got a red shirt, or he's not going to, he can still play one more game. He's played 3 games, so he can still play one more game, but it's just, I don't know. It's a strange situation there at Texas State. Just doesn't make any sense, right? It obviously seems like there's something going on behind the scenes, but nobody's saying what it is. But that's a huge loss for Texas State, man. I mean, he had through 3 games, I think he had 3.5 sacks. He had 10 sacks a year ago. Definitely the leader on that defensive line. They had aspirations of going to the college football playoff, but I don't know. That loss to Sam Houston is not going to do them any favors.
Yep. What up, TD? What up, Coop. Thanks for joining us. And then while we're on this, staying with USC, their head coach, Lincoln Riley, come out, and he wants to change the red shirt rule. And his comments were, I think guys should have 5 years. Do whatever you want, play as much as you want or as little as you want. And the only way you get an extra one is if you have 2 season-ending injuries and miss the whole season. So he's proposing to go to 5 years.
Makes things a lot easier, right?
I know, right? And
makes things a lot easier than they are today.
I mean, we got guys, okay with that.
We got guys that have been in college for like 9 years. Cam McCormick, tight end at
Right.
Miami. I'm pretty sure it's Cam McCormick's 9th year in college. He's at the University of Miami. Cam Rising, I think this is his 7th year, and he technically has another year. He has at least another year. He said he's not going to use it, but yeah, you're right. They're called doctors. I hope these guys that are in college for 9 years. I hope they're walking away with doctorates. Like something tells me that's not the case. And that's not the case, but I would certainly hope so.
Yeah, I get it. If you hurt and miss the entire season, and there's been a lot of players that's suffered those unfortunate setbacks, I agree. You should get another year if you want it. But these kids that are playing, 7, 8, 9 years, that's crazy. That's taking you pretty much all the way through your 20s. Or at least into your mid-20s, right?
Yeah, he's got a wife and 4 kids now. He's still playing college football.
Right. But I was reading the Lincoln Riley, and I was like, that when I first read it, I was like, that's crazy. But then I thought about it, and I was like, makes sense. You've got 5 years instead of 4, which most players would like 5 years because a lot of players don't go to the NFL. So here's you an extra year to try to get better, or just extend your college career if that's what you want to do, because there's a lot of great college players that never make it to the next level. So here's you an extra year. So I would be behind this if they could work something out. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I'd be behind that. I thought we were done with this realignment stuff.
Just getting started.
Clearly we're not. Yeah. UTEP is joining the Mountain West after spending the past 20 years in Conference USA. Their TV deal with Conference USA is estimated to be at $400,000 a year. And their new deal with the Mountain West is estimated to be worth $4 million.
That's today.
To $4 million.
Today.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that Mountain West number is going to come down. Like,
I think so too.
With the schools they're losing, Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State, Fresno State. I mean, that dollar amount is gonna, in my opinion, is gonna come down. I think it'll still, at the end of the day, I think it's probably still more than Conference USA, but it ain't gonna be 400,000 and 4 million difference.
Right, but like you were talking about, Saluka getting something on paper, pen and paper, contract wise, if they get that wrote down, then it has to stick.
Well, but they'll get that. They'll get it now. They'll get it now. But when the TV contract expires, and they have to redo that TV deal, they ain't getting no $4 million in school. Ain't happening.
Right. Staying with the Mountain West, they offered Texas State an invite to join, and Texas State informed the Sun Belt Conference that they will not be leaving, so they're staying put.
Yeah, that's a dumb move. That's like a short. Yeah, that'd be a short-term move. Yeah, Mountain West might have more money today in TV contracts than Sun Belt, but I'd bet a large sum of money when all that stuff comes up. At the end of the day, the Sun Belt is going to be higher than the Mountain West when those contracts expire and get renewed. So it'd be a short-term move for them. And I don't know. Like, to me, it didn't make sense to me, like, why they were entertaining it at all. Like, it'd be different if they got a Pac-12 invite. Absolutely,
right.
But that's not what they got. So it seemed like a crazy move in there. In my opinion, the one thing I was interested in finding out was if they did leave, who would the Sun Belt go after? Like, ultimately, like, if you ask me, I'd go after East Carolina. but they're not leaving the American until some other teams leave the American. So my guess is they'd be going after Conference USA, and they'd be going after like Western Kentucky or Louisiana Tech,
Right.
or even Middle Tennessee. Those three schools would be my guess.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You mentioned the Pac-12. So they've got Utah State, San Diego State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and Boise State are all headed to the Pac-12 to join Washington State and Oregon State. And me and you talked about this at length on the show, and I felt like this is where ultimately the Pac-12 would go. They wouldn't, while it looked bleak, I didn't think that they would completely go in under. They would find somebody to join them to keep their conference together. Maybe not what it used to be, but at least keep the conference intact and have the ability to move forward and get better or, rebuild. But they're all going to be joining the Pac-12. Gonzaga is also joining the Pac-12, but they don't have a football team. So they're a basketball school,
only.
As far as that goes, that's a huge boost to the Pac-12 because Gonzaga is a national powerhouse in college basketball. But anyway, so they're still looking for some more members. And then
they
Memphis
need one more.
Pac-12,
they need at least one more all sports member. They got to have 8. And the other,
and that brings me to my next one.
The other misconception. Well, the misconception with the Pac-12, I think, is people think, hey, they get their 8 members, they're back to Power 5. It's Power 5 again. No, sir. It's not how it works. They can try and petition to be considered a power school, but that goes to a vote. And if you think those other 4 conferences are gonna make the Pac-12 back to a power conference, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't happening, brother. Ain't happening.
No,
they are. Maybe that you can say they're the top of the G5, but that's what they are. I mean, they're not.
Right.
They're not going to become a power conference. Not happening.
Yeah, not unless something drastically changes as far as the type of teams you have. Well, I agree.
Maybe the SEC and the Big Ten, they say screw everybody, and we're going to be the elite of the elite, and then that leaves the ACC and the Big 12. Then I could see them saying, "Hey, Pac-12, you can join us in our group of 3." I could see that, but yeah,
right.
That's way more likely to happen, in my opinion.
True. The Pac-12 in Memphis are also in discussions of the Tigers joining, but from what I've read, it's all dependent on financial concerns. So the Pac-12 is trying to get some type of, I don't want to go as far to say guarantee based off of what I've read, but they're trying to get some type of reassurance or initial I don't know the word, initial potential to give Memphis what they're looking for money-wise. I think if the two can work something out and kind of –
they have to pay like almost $20 million. They have to pay like, I think, $20.5 million to leave. And so maybe the Pac-12 going to pay that $20.5 million for them? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know either, but it sounds to me like there's mutual interest based on what I guess TV deals and stuff like that. And then, like you said, the buyout. So, it's crazy. So we're far from being done. Clearly, we're far from being done with this whole realignment thing. And it could be another 4 or 5 years before everything finally the dust settles and we start to see some normal conferences again, but it's crazy. And then my last piece is the Heisman race, and I know we're pretty much defense here. You've got Ashton Gennetti, BYU, the running back. You got Travis Hunter, the corner.
Boise State. Ashton Genty, Boise State.
Yeah, Genty. Sorry. I was thinking Gennetti from wrestling.
Marty Gennetti.
Yeah, Marty Gennetti. Sorry about that. Then you got Travis Hunter, the two-way guy, star receiver, cornerback for Colorado. You've got a couple quarterbacks in the mix. The Miami quarterback, Cam
Ward.
I think right now it's a two-horse race. Now, I know Cam Ward's doing, as long as Miami keeps winning, he's going to be around.
You got Jalen Milroe, too, Alabama.
Jalen Milroe, I think he's in there. But I think it's between Genty and Hunter. Especially after what Genty did last week. 259 and 4 touchdowns.
Well, that's a normal day. That's a normal day for Ashton Genty. But what is Hunter doing that's so special? Why do you think he deserves it?
Because he's doing it on both ends, and
he's playing both ways, sure.
And he's producing. I mean,
I
just think.
But when your coach tells his son to throw the ball to Travis Hunter 50 times a game, I don't know, that's artificial to me. But
I'll give you that is true, and I wouldn't necessarily.
I'm not saying the kid isn't producing. It's not impressive what he's doing. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't feel like he is, in my opinion, he is nowhere close in terms of what Ashton Genty's doing. It's not close. It's not close. Ashton Genty,
I don't think so.
He's on pace for 3,500 yards rushing, 52 touchdowns. He has 43 missed tackles. He's forced 43 missed tackles. He has almost 500 yards rushing after contact. I think that would be top 10 in the nation, just his yards after contact. And he did it against Oregon. Number 5, I think they number 5 or 6 team in the country. So it's not and his numbers are down because when they played Portland State, he only played the first quarter and only ran for 100 yards. So I don't know, what Ashton Genty's doing. If he keeps this up, and if he does not win that Heisman, that's just freaking. That's just a crime, man. That's oh man, it'd be absolutely criminal if he doesn't win it.
Yes, Andrew, college sports is bonkers, and I agree with you. Genty is clearly the guy. He's the front runner, and everybody else combined can't touch him in my eyes.
He's averaging almost 11 yards a carry.
Yeah, the reason I put Hunter up there is because I think he does both. Not me. I think the national perception is he does both, right? He's playing for prime time up there. They're winning. He's catching 6-7 balls a game. He's getting 4 or 5 tackles, an interception here. I think it's the Charles Woodson appeal, right? Where he plays both ways.
Charles Woodson was freaking dominant. He was dominant. He was a dominant defensive player.
Yes, he was. Yes,
Travis Hunter ain't on that level on offense or defense. He is putting up good numbers on the offensive side, and he's putting up good numbers on the defensive side, but he is not as dominant as Charles Woodson was. That's not, in my opinion.
Right. I agree. And I saw it somewhere. I wished I would have wrote down who it was, but someone said Travis Hunter is better at defense than he is offense, and I think that's right. I think he's at cornerback. He has the potential to be special. Where offense, I don't think he's special. I think he's just really, really good. If you can, like you said, if you force feed him the ball, he's going to put up numbers. Where on defense, I think it's his talent taking over, and he's doing what he's doing.
Well, I think at the end of the day, he needs to decide what he wants to do and just stick to that. And whatever one he wants, I think he's going to get drafted. Obviously, wide receiver.
And I don't think that will ever happen as long as he plays with Deion, because Deion played both ways in the NFL. So for me, I don't think that will ever change until he gets out from under Deion.
He's going to get drafted. There's no doubt about that. He kind of got exposed last year as a corner, though, right? When he goes up against someone bigger and more physical, he can't do anything. We saw it. The biggest example was when they played Stanford last year, and Alec Ayomanor just freaking dominated him, 11 catches, 220 yards, and 2 touchdowns, because he was just so much more physical, so much bigger than Travis Hunter, and Travis couldn't do anything with that. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he's got some work to do on both sides of the ball in terms of being the best player that he can be. And I have no doubts he'll get drafted as either. But I think ultimately he's going to have to decide, and the NFL is going to make him decide, right? Like he ain't playing both. Okay, he might play both ways in terms of getting a few snaps, but he ain't playing both ways like he is now, full time.
Right, I agree. The NFL will make him one way or another. They'll make him pretty much change. And like you said, he'll probably play some both ways, but it will.
Well, I think it depends on what he does, right? If he goes to NFL and plays DB, he's going to get some snaps at receiver. But I think if he goes to NFL and plays receiver, he ain't playing no DB.
Not simultaneously, but I think if he doesn't hold up as a receiver, they'll force him to move to DB.
Well, sure. But he won't be in the same game playing receiver and DB.
Right.
If he's, if receiver's his main thing.
Yep, I agree. So that I was just curious. I wanted to know. I was wanting to see if you felt the same about Genty as I did. Like I said, I think he's the clear front runner, and it ain't even close.
He's all world, man. Like he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's insane.
The kid's good, and it don't matter who he's playing.
No, it doesn't. He'll light you up like a Christmas tree at the drop of a hat. I mean, it's crazy. And like you said a minute ago, he does it with. It looks like it just comes so easy to him, right? I mean, it's like the effort. I don't want to say he's not putting effort into it, but it's like he doesn't have to put effort into it. It's just he just flows with it.
He can catch the ball. He's one of the best receiving backs in college football, and and obviously you see what he's doing on the ground too, man. So yeah, he's pretty unbelievable.
Yes, he is. I hope he wins it, and I hope he continues this just insane pace that he's on right now.
I'm hoping to see him drafted by Jerry Jones in round 1 next year.
Now, see, we could have went the whole damn show without you saying something crazy ass like that. See, that wasn't necessary, man. That just wasn't necessary.
I am as much as it pains me to say this, I am a Cowboys fan. I'm not a Jerry Jones fan, but I'm not really a Dak Prescott fan, but I am a Cowboys fan.
Whew. Good luck.
If they got Ashton Genty, that's going to renew my faith in the Cowboys a whole lot. So that's probably why I'm wishing for it. Hoping for it.
All right. So our players of the week, I'm going to back up a week since we wasn't here last week. Let's go to week 4. My player of the week was Kadron Jenkins, linebacker for Purdue. 16 tackles, 8 solos, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks. And Justice, your player of the week was Sean Dolak, linebacker for Buffalo, with an insane game. 19 tackles, 15 were solos. So it wasn't just them giving him an assist. He was getting these on his own. 4 TFLs, a PBU, and he had a clutch interception to end the game that helped upset.
Well, it led them to overtime. It led to overtime when then they won. Then they won in overtime.
Yeah, which they upset 23rd ranked NIU, who, as we all know, upset Notre Dame earlier this year. Dolak's a monster right now. I thought I've been working on my rankings this week, and there's some shakeups. I'm not all the way through them, but definitely probably tomorrow late or early Friday morning, check them out because there's some definite shakeups. Our player 5 defensive players of the week, our player 5.
Players of the week for week 5.
Do I think what?
Sean, do you think Sean Dolak? Do you think Sean Dolak has any NFL potential? I was going to look. I mean, like size wise, he's probably a little light, 6'1", 225. I was going to look to see how he does in coverage, but they might not be asking him to do any coverage. I don't know. I don't know how.
From what I've seen, he doesn't do a lot up there as far as coverage goes. But man, clearly with the PBU and the interception, he's got some coverage skills. I don't think he's a complete wash as a coverage linebacker. I don't think you would have to take him off the field on third downs. I mean, he can.
So he's playing, according to PFF, out of 389 snaps, 205 of those snaps are in coverage. He has a coverage grade of 90. His coverage grade's 90, so that's pretty daggone good.
Yeah, I don't think he's a liability. I really don't. I think 225 is okay because I think you can pack on, 5 or 6 pounds to get to 230. The 6'1" is a tad smaller than you like because the NFL is kind of looking at these 6'3" guys or a little taller. I get it because they want the length. But, if if the young man can play like this at 6'1", I think he's earned the right to have a look in the NFL. I think he'll get looks in the NFL.
His quarterback rating against him is 64.6 when they target him in coverage.
Nice.
So I think
if he can continue to play some coverage. If he can continue to back those coverage numbers up with his size, because I think his size is going to be the key, right? The 6'1". I think if he makes a roster, I think he could be a really nice piece for somebody. We've seen crazier things happen, right?
Yeah.
You see linebackers. Look, Devin White's he's a healthy scratch every week. And it was just a year or so ago that Devin White, or 2 years ago, that people had Devin White ranked in their top 5. It's never ending, the changes in the NFL. So yeah, as long as he doesn't suffer some kind of, knock on wood, crazy injury or something like that, then I think he's got NFL potential. Let me throw this at you.
You cut out. What'd you say?
Let me throw this at you. Both players healthy, clear bill of health, ready to go, knowing what we know about how they play NFL-wise. Sean Dolak or Jason Henderson?
Sean Dolak.
Yeah, same for me. So I think, as much as we love Jason Henderson, and he's a beast too, right, at college, I think Dolak has more NFL potential.
He's clearly better in coverage. Old Dominion doesn't ask Jason to do a lot of coverage, and he's not necessarily good at it. They use him to the best of his abilities, and so I don't know. I think Sean probably has more potential, and Sean's bigger.
Yeah.
I think Jason's listed at 6 foot. I don't even know if I don't know if that's. I would question that. Weight wise, weight wise, they're similar, but Sean's probably a little bit taller. So I would give the edge to Sean Dolak.
Yeah. Our defensive players of the week for week 5. I took Colin Simmons, the edge for Texas. 7 tackles, 6 solos, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks. I maybe could have found somebody else, but with
he's a true freshman.
No power over the weekend. Yeah, he's a true freshman, and with me not having power over the weekend, I didn't get to see a lot. But that I did get to go back and watch this game, and he stood out. And a true freshman, that's
even more impressive.
Yeah. Yes. Your defensive player of the week for week 5 was Donovan Ezeruka, defensive end for Boston College, and he's somebody that I've been watching a lot this year, especially with Boston College having such a good start to their season, right? 10 tackles, 4 TFLs, 3 sacks. He's a pretty good player.
I think he had a forced fumble. He was. I watched a good bit of that game on Saturday against Western Kentucky because I was thinking Western Kentucky was going to upset them, and Western Kentucky probably should have won that game. But man, he was wreaking havoc all day long. He was the best player on the field.
Yeah, and he's got pretty good size from what I can remember. I want to say he's like 6'3", 6'4", somewhere in there. but he shows good bend. He displays good power, and really fits what Boston College likes to do defensively. So,
according to Boston College website or roster, he's 6'2", 247.
I was close. I was thinking he was 6'3", so 6'2", 247. Yeah, they'll probably pack another 5 to 8 pounds on him in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to see him be a little bit taller, but
yeah, he's had one heck of a season for Boston College, and clearly with that game, he can back it up.
Absolutely, he has six sacks on the year. I think that's number one or tied for number one in college football, or close to it.
Yes, I do believe that is a tie.
He's had at least one sack every week, except when they played Duquesne. But, of course, he only played 29 snaps when they played Duquesne. I feel confident he had played the whole game. He would have gotten a sack in that one too.
Oh, yeah. And that's another thing. People are like, well, look at some of the teams he's played. Why did he not have no stats? It's the same with James Pierce, right? Playing Kent State and whoever. Well, yeah, he probably could have destroyed them if they played him all 4 quarters. But Pierce only played like 10 snaps, 12 snaps against Kent State. There was no need to have him out there. Get your backups in, let them get some really good experience because you're going to need them at some point. So, yeah, just kind of crazy how people think about these. Before we get into our weekly league things here, numbers. Ezeruke does lead college football in sacks. He has 8 according to College Football Reference. Antoine Powell of Virginia Tech is second with 7. Trey White of San Diego State is third with 6. And then you have 3 players, Van Fillinger of Utah, R. Mason Thomas of Oklahoma, and Kyle Kennard of South Carolina, all tied for 4th with 5.5. TFLs, Sean Dolak, that we just mentioned, leads the way with 11. His teammate and somebody that I have been looking into, Khalil Murdoch, has 10.
Red Murdoch.
Yeah. Donovan Ezeruke, your guy again, he's tied for second with 10. And then you've got 3 players tied for 4th. Alex Howard of Duke, TJ Jackson of West Virginia, Kyle Kennard, South Carolina, all tied with 9. Looking at interceptions, Sean Dolak, or not interceptions, total tackles, Sean Dolak, 72, Trey Rucker, 63, Red Murdoch, 55, Travian Barnes of FIU, 54, and then Colin Ramos of Navy and Isaac Smith of Mississippi State are tied for 5th with 51. And we'll do these real quick. Interception-wise, Noel Williams, California, and Jalen Catalon, who seems like he's been around forever, they lead the country with 4. And then you've got Glendon Miller, Xavier Scott, Michelle Powell, Cameron Lockridge, and a host of others all tied with 3. And then PBUs real quick. Alzillian Hamilton and Bryson Taylor. Hamilton for Fresno State, Taylor for New Mexico. They lead the country with 7 PBUs. Then you've got Will Lee. Well, you've got a bunch here tied for 3rd with 6. But Will Lee, Amarian Fortenberry, Cameron Lockridge, Jabbar Muhammad, Michael Coates Jr., Lorendo Johnson, and Isaiah Brown Murray all tied with 6. So just a quick look at the leaders there in the country. But, yeah, Ezeruke, man, he's putting together quite the season. And I don't think that's, barring an injury, which we hate to see, knock on wood, but he's putting together a career year. If you go back to 2022, he was a sophomore. He had 61 tackles, 15 TFLs, 8.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 pass deflections. That was his best year, and he's already sitting at 10 TFLs, 8 sacks. The tackles, he's averaging 6.6 a game tackles. So, yeah, he should shatter all his career marks by season's end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up next. So, yeah, good pick there. 5-star topic. I guess we'll let you go through the league numbers that you do every week. I always love this part of the show. You can look at stuff, but just actually getting to hear the different players and what they did, it's very interesting. So the floor is yours.
All right. So we're gonna go back to week 4 first. The top linebacker that week was player of the week, Sean Dolak, Buffalo, 55.1 points. That was the week he had the 15 solo tackles. He was top scorer for the week, top linebacker. Next up was cornerback Will Johnson from Michigan. He had 28.4 points. The top safety was Trey Rucker. Oklahoma State had 28 points. The top defensive end was your guy, Hollywood, Josiah Stewart, 22 points.
Yep.
And the top D tackle was another Michigan guy, Mason Graham, with 15 points.
Oh, wow.
All right, let's go to week 5. And let's see. All right, week 5, number 1, player of the week, top defensive scorer, Donovan Zaruku from Boston College with 42 points. Top scorer, top defensive end. The top cornerback, which we really can't count because he plays both ways, but Travis Hunter, Colorado, 33.9 points. If you're looking for the top cornerback not named Travis Hunter, that would be Nick Anderson at Wake Forest with 18 points. The top linebacker was Jordan Turner, Michigan State, 28.7 points. The top safety was Jerron Manning, Old Dominion safety, 25.4 points. The top D tackle was Trey White, San Diego State, 29 points. So those were the top guys overall. In terms of players not owned in that league, free agents, go back to week 4. So the top free agents in week 4, safety Ahmad Moses, 47.4 points. Cornerback Terrence Spence, JMU, 33.6 points. Linebacker Tuasivi Nomura, Fresno State, 29 points. Defensive end Brighton Thompson, UTEP, 22.5 points. And the top D tackle was Wesley Williams, Duke, 17 points. Go back to week 5, and the top cornerback Brian Addison, UCLA, 45.2 points. Defensive end Eric O'Neal, 36.4 points. Safety AJ McCarty, Texas Tech, 26.2 points. Linebacker Caden Fordham, NC State, 27 points. And the top D tackle was Jason Williams, Central Michigan, 19 points. All right, we're 5 going into week 6, almost halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think the number 1 defensive lineman for fantasy is in terms of fantasy points?
Defensive lineman. So that we're talking D tackles, D ends.
The end, yep.
Man, that's kind of tough, but I would have to think your boy that we just mentioned, Azuruke. He's got to be close. So I think I'm going to go with him as my top.
Yep, he is number 1, 65 total points.
Just
number
with
2
the sacks and TFLs alone, I thought that put him up there. That's why.
Absolutely. Just below him, on 1 point below, Trey White, San Diego State, who was another sack guy. I think he had 6 on the year. Who do you think number 3 is?
Number 3. Just based on some things I've seen and some numbers, man, this is tough. I think I'm wrong, but it's either going to be, and I've not looked at their tackle numbers. I'm looking at their TFLs and sacks. So it's either going to be Kyle Kennard of South Carolina or Antoine Powell for Virginia Tech. That I don't know. I want to say Powell would be third,
Powell.
but I don't know if I'm right.
It's
Yes.
Antoine Powell's third. Kennard is not. I mean, I'm probably I don't know. I'm looking at like 30 names, and Kennard's not up here yet. So,
oh wow, that's surprising since he's got 9 TFLs and 5.5 sacks.
He ain't done anything other than that. Next is fourth is Cam Olds, Kent State. He's the 4th guy.
Wow.
All right. This is an easy one. Who's the number 1 linebacker?
It's got to be Sean Dolak.
Yeah, it's Sean Dolak. He's number 1 fantasy player, period, for defense, 125 points. Now, number 2 and number 3, I'm thinking you probably aren't going to get.
Number 2, number 3. I'm probably I don't know what his, and I'm trying not to look. I'm just looking at a screenshot here. I don't want to see their whole numbers for the year. Is Colin Ramos for Navy one of those?
Nope.
I didn't think so. I know he's got high tackle numbers, high assist tackle numbers. So Dolak is 1. I don't think he's there. I think he's just below that. Nicholas Martin, I don't think he's in the top 3.
No, he is. Nicholas Martin is number 5. Ramos is number 6, 7, 8, number 9.
Okay. So
I don't think you're gonna guess who these number 2 and number 3 are. I don't think.
Okay, one more shot here. Hang on, one more shot. Damn. It wouldn't be Dolak's teammate Murdoch, would it?
He's number 3.
Ooh. Okay, so I need number 2. So Dolak, number 2, then Murdoch. So who would be number 2? Try not to hold you up.
Oh, you're good.
I don't see anything that's really jumping out at me. I'm going to try it, but I'm afraid I'm wrong. It's not going to be Aiden Fisher for Indiana, is it?
Nope.
I didn't think so.
This guy did not even start the season as the man. His teammate, who I would have thought would have been near the top before the season, decided to retire after game 1. Reggie Peterson, Florida International, retired after week 1. Travion Barnes. Barnes, Florida International, became, once Reggie Peterson was gone, it was Barnes' time to shine, and he has certainly done that. All right. Now, this one's going to be a little bit tougher because none of these stats do not include offensive stats. So who's the top defensive back? You might get the top one. I don't think you'll get number 2 and 3 though. Okay,
so top defensive backs here. Let me
not including this Hint, it's not Travis Hunter.
Right. I'm with you there.
Because we're not including offensive stats.
I'm going to take a shot here, and the
only.
only reason I'm kind of taking a shot with this name is because I've picked him up the last couple of weeks and have him on a couple of my teams. I don't know. Would it be Glendon Miller from Maryland? Is he in the top
No.
5? Damn.
No, I don't see. Like, I'm looking at 30 names. I don't see him.
Well, he's got 3 interceptions and setting second. That's why I ask.
I do see him. He's 52. He's at 52 points. The guy I'm talking about has 106.
Yeah. Ooh, so almost over double. Let's see. Maybe. No, I don't. Well, maybe Xavier Scott for Illinois.
Nope. It is Trey Rucker, Oklahoma State. He's killing it in tackles, man. 63 tackles.
Is he a defensive back?
He's a safety. Now maybe he's maybe they're playing him as a linebacker, but he is a safety.
That is right. Yes. And he's second in total tackles with 6. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
The number 2 guy is Christian Ellis from New Mexico.
Oh wow.
And the number 3 guy is Nick Anderson from Wake Forest.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was completely off on those 3. Yeah. Well, I would have probably guessed Rucker, but I guess because he is playing down in the box some for them, which is kind of weird because they have Nicholas Martin. They have help me, Justice, the other guy that's really good for them.
Kendall Daniels.
Yes, Kendall Daniels. So, but he has been playing down in the box for them a lot. So,
All right.
Interesting.
Who we've talked about these 2 guys, both these guys tonight at some point in the show.
Oh,
they're
Lord.
the top. They're the top 2 defensive linemen in rush win rate. We've talked about them both.
Well, it's got to be Ezeruke.
Nope.
What?
Nope.
So Antoine Powell?
Nope.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope. I'm not kidding you. These are the top 2 guys in rush win rate. You're not going to guess.
Hang on.
No,
You said
number 1. Yeah, we talked about him.
Trey White?
Nope.
Oh, shit. I don't know that.
Ben Bell, Texas State, number 1, 26.3.
Oh, Ben Bell.
He wins 26.3% of the time. You're going to kick yourself for number 2 because you should know this one. Josiah Stewart, Michigan, 26.1.
Yeah. Boy, he had a good game the other day. I was kind of shocked by that. He had the game that we were used to seeing from him at Coastal Carolina.
Yep. Yeah, havoc rate. Who do you think has the best havoc rate in all of college football? You ain't never going to guess this one. Because I would have never guessed this one. TJ Jackson. TJ Jackson, West Virginia, 22%.
And I can see that because he's tied for 4th in TFLs with 9. So yeah.
And then number 2, number 2, Josiah Stewart, Michigan. He's tied with Bradley Weaver from Ohio. And then number 4 is my favorite, Mike Green at Marshall. Mike Green, Marshall.
Yeah, I like Mike Green.
He's having an excellent start to the season. Abdul Carter's starting to come along. He's had 2 really good games there for Penn State, so starting to
While we're on
see
this
that
kind of a topic, we talked about Stewart kind of having a good game, getting back. You just mentioned Abdul Carter, and I'm working on. Well, I finished. I just got to post it, but my IDP Devy portfolio will be up here in a minute, and he's on it. Trey Moore. And part of my topic with Trey Moore is he makes the jump, right? He makes the jump in competition to the SEC. Was that too big of a jump for him? Is Texas using him differently? And I think the answer is yes, the jump was kind of big for him because teams are paying it. They know what he can do, so they're paying attention, right? And
Yeah,
I think
he's only got 4 pressures on the year, and 3 of those came against
he has
Michigan.
no TFLs. Yeah, no TFLs, no sacks. I think he has a total of, what did I say? Well, I closed it up, but I think he had a total of like 6 tackles on the year, 5 or 6 tackles. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at PFF. PFF, he's only got 4 now. PFF does their own stats, so their tackles
I think that might be right.
What ESPN says, he might have more than 4.
Well, I think that's right because I had another player that probably had the 5 or 6. But yeah, so he's only got 4 tackles in 5 games, no TFLs, no sacks.
4 total and all 4 quarterback hurries. 3 of those came in the Michigan game.
Yes. So what do you, if he's on your roster, what are you doing with him? Do you?
I don't know. Like,
well, I guess it depends on what you think his NFL potential is for one.
Absolutely.
Right?
Like if you think he's going to get drafted, then I guess you hold him. If you don't think so,
exactly.
then you got to dump him because he ain't giving you no production in college. And the way
that's exactly what I wrote up.
The way Colin Simmons is coming along, like he might be out of a job here soon. So,
that's exactly what I wrote up. And then my final quote was, trade him to somebody that needs a defensive end and will pay for the name, that knows the name and will pay for him. I think that's your best shot to try to get rid of him.
Speaking of which, paying for the name, I know I've said this for I feel like a year and a half now. If you still own Harold Perkins, you lost your window, buddy. Like,
yep, yes, sir.
I mean, like he is like I don't know. Like I was not a Harold Perkins fan. After I was a fan his freshman year, but then you see what happened the second year, and I was all about selling Perkins while you could, and now he's gone for the year with a torn ACL, and I don't think. I mean, I guess he gets drafted. I just don't know. Like he's not going to be in a fantasy relevant position. He's not a good tackler. He is too small to be an edge rusher, but he's pretty decent in coverage. So he's going to be a coverage linebacker, maybe, right? Who blitzes every now and then. But again, he's not what people want him to be, in my opinion.
Yeah. Does he come back if he gets a medical red shirt?
You'd think he has to, right? I mean, I don't know. So
if he does he transfer?
Probably not. I mean, he ain't transferring down.
No, not transferring down, but it just seems like he's a odd fit at what LSU's asking him to do. Right? They moved him from like a stand-up pass rusher to more of a linebacker spot. And he's done well at times. I've watched a few other games this year. He's showed some flashes of being decent, I don't think he's anything special. I don't think
he's a terrible player, but I don't think he's not the hype that or what people want him to be. It's not what he is.
Right. See, that's kind of how I feel too.
So getting back to the Trey Moore situation, last week Trey Moore started the game, played 47 snaps. But guess who his direct backup is? Colin Simmons. Colin Simmons played 41 snaps. They play the same position.
Well, I would say after Colin Simmons' performance this week, Trey Moore better be worried.
So I'm going back. So I go back to week 4. Colin Simmons did not start, but he played 20 snaps. Trey Moore did start and played 24 snaps. And so far, both weeks, Colin Simmons, like in terms of grades, has graded out significantly higher than Trey Moore. Week 3, let's see. Colin Simmons played 30 snaps, did not start. Trey Moore played 29 snaps and did start. Once again, Simmons, from a grade perspective, did better than him. So, I don't know. The writing's on the wall, it seems like to me, right? That Simmons is going to be the starter, and
so,
Trey Moore is going to go back to being a rotational piece. Sooner, that's coming. That's coming. So, yeah, I'd try to sell Trey Moore while you can, if you think you can get something for him.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I've got him in my stock market piece or portfolio piece for Devy, and I was sitting here looking at it, I was like, man, this is really, really concerning. And unless you have high hopes for his NFL potential, you've got to cut bait here. College football is so much deeper. Of course, there's 130 some odd teams compared to 32, but college football is with so many more teams. The player pool is so much deeper. It makes it easier for you to get away from stars, right? Like Trey Moore, we're using him for example. Where if this was the NFL and it was Trey Moore, it would be a little harder to walk away from Trey Moore because the player pool and the quality of the player pool is not as deep, right? Where I think in college you can, and I hate to say it, you can just kind of toss these potential stars to the side and pick up somebody that's going to help your roster there a lot better. But I do think NFL potential, when we're talking fantasy, and that's what we're doing here, I think the NFL potential has to be a key in your evaluation and your value of his stock, right? Because I was having this same conversation before the season with Josiah Stewart. He didn't have that good of a season last year at Michigan. Not like we seen him have at Coastal Carolina, where he had that breakout. He kind of regressed. I know he was playing a different position, different team. I understand that. But I was having that conversation with myself. Okay, how long do he's got a big name. He's got a lot of potential. The NFL potential is there. How long do I hold him based on that NFL potential? Now, luckily for me and a lot of other fantasy managers, he's starting to perform this year for Michigan a little better. We're starting to see.
Yeah, because I own Stewart. I own Stewart in the league, and then I dumped him, I guess, last year because he wasn't doing anything. I'm like, I dumped him. So,
and I think that's one of the biggest differences between Devy and NFL, right? Is the depth and quality of the player pool and the impact that has on you with your roster moves. Like we're sitting here talking about Trey Moore and Josiah Stewart, who are really good football players in college, but we're talking about dumping them at the drop of a hat, right? And if this was the NFL, you're not dropping I don't know, a Harold Landry or a Kayvon Thibodeau. You're not dropping them because they've had a few bad games, because the alternative is you're not getting shit if you cut them, right? You're picking up some fourth string waiver. So I don't know. I was writing the article, and you triggered me there a minute ago, and I was like, man, Trey Moore, I don't even know. I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you, with Trey Moore. I thought he would have more of an impact. Did I think he would be the Trey Moore that we saw at UTSA or wherever it was he was? No, because I felt like the step up to the SEC was going to have an impact on him. But if you would have told me through 5 games with Texas, who's got a lot of talent, if you told me through 5 games all he had was 9 tackles and 4 solos, I'd have told you was crazy. And that's where we're at. He has 9 tackles, 4 solos, and jack shit else.
It's another player that's starting to turn it on is Nick Scourton. Him and Abdul Carter both the the last couple of weeks have really turned it on. They had some super slow starts.
Yeah. I think I would put them there with Josiah Stewart bouncing back really well. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Well, a couple weeks ago, I asked you what to do with Bear Alexander because he just sits on my roster. Thankfully, Fantrax gave him the injury flag. I could put him on injury reserve. Otherwise, I'd cut him.
Who was it?
I'd cut him. Bear Alexander.
Oh, Bear Alexander. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, Fantrax gave him the injury flag.
Yeah, and until you mentioned, I think it was our last episode, you had asked me about defensive tackles. I think that was the episode. You were asking me about defensive tackles, and I didn't really realize drop off, but I didn't realize how bad it was until you said you were looking for defensive tackles, and there was basically shit out there to pick up.
Yeah.
So
it's rough.
I mean, it's funny how you're playing the same game, college and NFL. It's the exact same game, right? You're using a player's stats to score points and win games. But how you get those points and how you look at college versus the NFL could not be more further from each other. I mean, it's a complete 180, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
He said, yeah. Oh, good stuff. Yeah. Continue to help us grow, right? We're about to break 600 on Twitter. Our Discord's growing. We need to get the YouTube growing. So go over there. Please rate, review, subscribe. Same thing with podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, iTunes, leave us a review. Check out our Patreon. Got all kinds of stuff going on over there. I'm about to upload my stock market piece for IDP Devy here in a little bit. So that'll be up. I just did my NFL. It's up and running. All kinds of stuff going on over there. And I say it every week, and I mean this because I've listened to the shows. I've watched their posts. I've watched them talk. Go check out the G5 Hive, which Justice is a part of with Lucas. Those dudes are absolutely freaking killing it. I have yet to watch an episode or an interview or anything that you all have done and not took something away that I was like, I did not know that. Such a good show. Y'all do great work. Go over there, give them a follow. Same thing. Please rate, review, subscribe at G5 Hive on Twitter. We're at Devy IDP Grind. You can follow me at Hollywood Titan. You can follow Justice at Justice_2318. We're always glad to help. So feel free to send any trades, questions, whatever you have, send them to us. We're glad to talk football. Be sure to check out my rant. Probably I may have them done tomorrow, but I got some stuff I got to do for work. So maybe Friday morning. Go check out my rankings. There's some shakeups there. A lot of the new stuff going on with it. Check that out. It's a pretty good show, man. I enjoyed this one. There was some a lot of insight.
Yeah. Yep.
But with that, if you don't have anything else, we'll be back next week, same time. Spread the word, share, tell everybody about us, and we'll be back next week.
All right.